Space, the final frontier.
Hello,
These are the voyages.
I'm going to teach you about Star Trek ships. From the Enterprise X to the Enterprise E. Prepare to warp into Star Trek Ships Edition. Now, we go to the vocabulary. Ship's class is the category or type of a ship. It's often the namesake of the first ship. A deck is a level on a ship. A stardate is the unit of time and calendar date used in the Star Trek universe. And warp is a faster than light speed used by Federation starships. Now we go to the NX-01 Enterprise. She has 7 decks. She's an NX-class ship captained by Jonathan Archer. Its max warp speed is warp 5. It was launched April 16th, 2151, with spatial torpedoes and phase cannons. Later, it was refitted with photonic torpedoes, better than spatial torpedoes. It appeared in Star Trek Enterprise. Moving on. The NCC-1701 Enterprise was a Constitution-class ship captained by Robert April, Christopher Pike, James T. Kirk, Willard Decker, and Spock. Its max warp speed was warp 9.6. It had 23 decks and was launched in the year 2245. Its weapons were phasers and photon torpedoes. It appeared in Star Trek, the original series, Star Trek I, the motion picture, Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, and Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. Sadly, she was destroyed in The Search for Spock.
Battle station.
The Constitution-class Enterprise A was captained by James Kirk. Its max warp speed is warp 9.6. It had 21 decks and was launched stardate 8442.5. It had photon torpedoes and phasers at the time. It appeared in Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, and Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Moving on, we move to the Savior, Enterprise B. The ship saved 47 people's lives. It was an Excelsior-class ship captained by John Harriman. It had 29 decks and was launched stardate 9715.5. Its weapons were photon torpedoes.
Torpedoes away.
It appeared in Star Trek Generations and A Matter of Time, a Star Trek episode in Star Trek The Next Generation. Now, the Enterprise C. It was an Ambassador-class ship captained by Rachel Garrett. It had 38 decks and was launched stardate 16883.1. It had photon torpedo launchers.
Torpedoes away.
And phasers. It appeared in yesterday's Enterprise only. Now, the Galaxy-class Enterprise D was captained by Jean-Luc Picard. Its max warp speed was warp 9.6. Its max impulse speed was 0.92 light speed. It had 42 decks and was launched stardate 40759.5 with Type 10 phasers and 3 photon torpedo launchers as weapons. The ship can uniquely separate from saucer section and battle section. It appeared in Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Generations. Sadly, she was destroyed in Star Trek Generations.
Battle station.
The Sovereign-class Enterprise E was captained by Jean-Luc Picard. Its maximum warp speed was warp 9.95. It had 24 decks. It was later retrofitted to have 29 decks. It was launched stardate 49827.5. The ship had quantum torpedoes, photon torpedoes, and phasers. The ship appeared in First Contact, a Star Trek movie, Star Trek Insurrection, and Star Trek Nemesis. She prevented the Borg from taking over Star Trek when she fought the Borg out of the Enterprise E herself. This preventing Zekrom Cochrane's warp ship that invented warp from being shot and destroyed. Voyager was an Intrepid-class ship piloted by Catherine Janeway. It was launched stardate 48038.5. Its maximum warp speed was warp 9.975. It had 15 decks. Her weapons were quantum torpedoes, photon torpedoes, and phasers. She appeared in Star Trek Voyager. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. I have enjoyed sharing my passion with you of Star Trek ships. Please watch some Star Trek series such as Star Trek Enterprise or Star Trek The Next Generation. Or Star Trek DS9. In the words of Spock, live long and prosper.